America. All right, I think we're good, and it is 2 o'clock, so I'm going to do my quick spiel first. As I was saying, my name is Veronica. Welcome to Introducing Jaws. We're going to learn all about snakes today, or sharks. Yeah, not snakes. We're learning about sharks today, which is amazing. The chat room is open here in Zoom, so say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. If we have any classes joining us, let us know. On YouTube, the chat room is open there as well. So you are more than welcome to say hello in that YouTube chat room. You can also use that space to ask any questions. I will bring the questions over to Zoom, so you do not have to worry about that. The chat room and the Q&A in Zoom will be open. So you can use that to ask questions. We're gonna try to answer them throughout, but there will be a question and answer period at the end of the program. So do not worry, we will try to get to everybody's questions. I know everybody's super curious and interested in sharks, so I can imagine there's going to be a lot of questions. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Daphne from OceanWise. She is going to be leading today's program, and I can see in the chat room we have lots of classes with us today. Hello, kids from schools from all over the place, and have fun.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited to be with everyone today. Hello and welcome. I'm just going to spotlight myself. I hope that works. Hi, everyone. Like Veronica said, my name's Daphne, and I am an educator with OceanWise. So you're welcome to let us know in the chat or whisper to someone next to you if you've heard of OceanWise before. Some of us may have. We are based out of Canada, and our home base is Vancouver, British Columbia. So let us know if you've been to Vancouver before, or if you know where that is. I'll show you in a moment. But we at OceanWise, we want to find ways to learn more about the ocean, to tell others about the ocean, and to find ways to help the ocean. So to get us warmed up today, I'd love for you to think of a way that you already help the ocean. What is something you already do that could help animals and the ocean itself? Feel free to share in the chat. We'll use the chat a lot today for communicating. Or if you're in a classroom or at home with your family, you can whisper to someone nearby. You can also take a look at some of my friends behind me today. So there's so many different ways that we might already help, maybe by making sure you don't litter, maybe by eating sustainable seafood. I want to start us off by helping out with some ideas. So if everyone can show me 5 fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I see stop using plastic straws from Hannah. Yeah, great idea. I've got a few to see if you already do these. I think they're pretty simple. So if you have done or do the thing I say, we're going to take away a finger. All right. So who has a water bottle or a cup that they wash and reuse day after day? Maybe you bring it to school or daycare. Maybe you use it at home or in the house. If you do that, take away a finger. If you have containers that you wash and reuse day after day, maybe for snacks or for lunch or for leftovers, if you have containers you wash and reuse, take away a finger. If you have ever bought used clothing or used somebody else's hand-me-downs, take away a finger. That's awesome. If you've ever learned something new about the ocean, I think we might all do that today. And then if you like to share what you know about the ocean, maybe a cool thing you learn, or maybe your favorite animal, if you share about the ocean, take away a finger. I think we've probably all lost a finger or two in there. Maybe you lost all 5 fingers. those are just 5 ways you might already be helping the ocean, which is awesome. But my friends, I want us to dive into the ocean today to explore a very famous animal. And as I said, I am right over here at the Star in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada today. So I think we might have some guests down from the States today. We might have some folks from other countries as well. That's where I am. And that means that I'm actually on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Peoples. And I'm really grateful that I get to be here on this land, but I also need to remember that people have been here since time immemorial and treating this land with respect as if it is one of their relatives. So I like to try and do the same, to remember to treat the land, the water, the sky with respect, just as they would. But there are some amazing animals that call our waters home. And one of my favorites is those sharks. So we're going to explore why sharks are such good predators, why sharks are important in the ocean, and some actions we can take to help those cute sharks. But you know what? I want to introduce you to sharks. And when we think of sharks, a lot of us might think of those popular movies that we might have seen, such as Jaws, or maybe some newer movies as well. These movies, do they portray these animals? Do they make them seem like a cuddly puppy? Do you think that movies like to make sharks really cute and cuddly? I don't think so. I think they like to make them look really scary. Do you think sharks are scary? Let us know in the chat. Or if you're in a classroom, give us a thumbs up if you think yes, thumbs down if we think no. We'll use our thumbs a lot today. I think a lot of us might think that sharks are a bit scary. Some of us might think, no, they're just really cool. It's okay to think they're super cool. It's okay to think they're scary. But I'm going to try and convince you that they're not quite as scary as we might think from movies. So let's explore. Okay, I have a question for you. On average, how many people do you think are killed by sharks every year? You can share in the chat. You can whisper to a friend. What do you think? I have a few ideas. Let's see. Do you think 10 people? 100 people? 1,000 people? Or 10,000 people die each year from sharks? What do you think? I see quite a few guesses around 100, maybe 200. Oh, someone thinks maybe that 10,000. Oh, someone even thinks maybe just 10. Great guesses, everyone. In this case, actually, usually less than 10 people a year are killed by sharks. Many of those shark attacks are accidents because sharks, you know what? They sometimes get confused and want to taste something to see if they are edible. Has anybody here ever seen a baby or a puppy before? I'm sure most of us have. And have you ever seen that baby or a puppy try and put something in its mouth? Babies and puppies, that's a way for them to figure out what something is. They use their taste buds a lot. Sharks, they use taste and their mouth to figure out what things are as well. So for them to figure out what something is, they might take a little nibble. Unfortunately, they've got something in their mouth that might make it a little bit hard for that person to survive. So usually it's an accident. There's not that many of them. Let's see. So about 10 people killed by sharks. Now, hold on a second. How many sharks on average do you think are killed by people every year? So how many sharks die because of people every year? What do we think? This one's a tougher question, I would say. I see some ideas for maybe 100, maybe 15. I've got some guesses here. I've got 10, 100, 100,000, or 100 million. Oh, I see. I guess maybe around 50, maybe around 100,000. You know what, my friends? We need to think really big. Humans actually kill around 100 million sharks a year. So if we were to look at these sharks I have here, each one represents 1 million sharks. That would be our 100 million. That's a lot of sharks. I think that we humans sound much scarier than those sharks. 10 versus 100 million? And those sharks don't even mean to kill us? These sharks seem misunderstood. So I want to introduce us to our shark scientist here, Thomas. And he wants to share a little something with you.
My name is Thomas Leskovic. I studied biology at university. I am now part of 2 organizations studying sharks, and I have the privilege to study sharks around the world with the best scientists. One of the main threats that sharks have today is, well, there's 3 of them. There's overfishing, there's illegal fishing, and there's bycatch. Bycatch is when people try to catch a certain fish, but they drag the entire bottom or a big area of the ocean and they catch all these sharks even though they didn't want to catch them. But unfortunately, the sharks get caught in the nets.
So maybe we were trying to catch shrimp, but we catch these extra animals as well. And that's what happens in some fishing. We're bringing this big net through and accidentally catching many different types of animals, many different types of extra fish, but even sharks, even the turtle. So there's lots of different things that we can look towards to help reduce the extra animals caught or reduce that bycatch, like Thomas said. So we at OceanWise look at a couple different things to try and help the ocean. One of those being the challenge of climate change. Another is the challenge of ocean pollution. And the other is overfishing. So if we're looking at overfishing, we can try and find some ways to not impact those sharks as much. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But I have a very big question for you. We're going to look at some really cool parts of the body or adaptations, things that help a shark survive. But we have 3 of those. We have 1 around the face, 1 around the mouth, and 1 for inside the body. Would you like to start with A, B, or C, my friends? I'll let you vote in the chat. Which one would you like to check out first? Ooh, I see some votes for B, some votes for C. I'll wait another 5 seconds for some votes. Oh, some A's as well. Okay, I think we got the most votes for B. So let's dive in to a very special adaptation for these animals. My friends, what could we be looking at here? I think sharks are pretty famous for these. Those beautiful teeth, that's right. Now sharks, how many teeth do you think they have in their mouth? What do you think? Yes, so many, that's right. They've got tons and tons of teeth. We think that sharks could have up to maybe 10 to 30,000 teeth in their lifetime. That, my friends, is a lot of teeth. And I have something very special to share with you. I actually have the jaw of a real shark. Would you like to see it? I think we'd like to see it. I have the jaw of a lemon shark here. One of my favorite sharks. And you can see it has all these extra rows of teeth. Does anybody know why they have so many teeth? I'll show you the other side as well. Why would a shark need so many teeth? Yeah, wow, right? Yeah, well, they need them to eat. That's right. So they need all these teeth to eat. Although, if you take a look, only the first row or 2 of teeth actually stick out enough to be used for biting and eating. That's right. I see someone knows they need those teeth to grow back because they're going to lose teeth all the time. Our bones are made of bone. Theirs is actually made of something called cartilage. Do you know where you have cartilage in your body? Can you point on your body where you have cartilage? We've got our nose and our ears and some other parts in our body as well, but it's a bit more wiggly. It's not as strong as bone. So those teeth, they fall out a lot easier than ours do. Nails is a great guess. Nails, skin, and hair all have keratin, which is something a little bit different, but many animals in the ocean use. All right, but you know what? I'm going to share my screen again because I want to show you a close-up of some of these beautiful teeth. And we can see, are these teeth smooth? Not really. They've actually got a bit of some bumps on them. That's kind of serrated is what we'd call those. And so those bumps act kind of like a saw to help them take chunks off of their food. Now, you might see it, you might not have been able to see it very well on that lemon shark. I've got one other jaw I'd like to share with you. I've got one from a silky shark. So you can see the shark, it has some smaller teeth compared to its body size. That's okay. It depends on what's best for the shark. We've got all those extra layers in there. And I don't know if you can quite tell, but they're quite serrated, these ones. So there's lots of little bumps on the edge. A little bit different from our friend, who actually you might see, oh, it's just back there, that might swim by in just a minute. Our big stingray. I actually have a stingray jaw here. You can see it's got a little bit different teeth. So they are related, they're cousins, sharks and rays, but they've got a little bit more of these kind of lots of bumpy, spiky ones. So they're all kind of big and sharp. So that is what our friend, the whip ray right there, would have in its mouth. Bit different from its shark cousins. All right, let me share my screen again, everyone. All right, we see those pretty cool teeth. Yeah, super spiky. And as we said, those teeth, they're gonna be different sizes on different sharks. Does anybody know who this one is? It's one of my favorites. It's a shark that doesn't actually eat the entire animal usually. It actually just takes a bite and leaves. It's called the cookie cutter shark. And it just takes a nibble and then swims off on its way. That's right, I see some of you got it, the cookie cutter shark. It's pretty amazing. But not all sharks need to have teeth. We also have the largest shark in the world here, who has little teeth just because its relatives do, but doesn't really use them anymore. It's more going to filter its food, almost like a big net through its gills. We've got that beautiful, huge whale shark, one of my favorites. But there is a shark that once lived that was bigger than the whale shark. Any ideas? Who could have been bigger than whale shark? It's not alive today, but we do see remnants of it. That's right, I see a couple guesses. That's right, Megalodon. So if you take a look here, the green shark at the bottom is a great white shark, also known as just a white shark. And you can see the little blue human there. It's pretty small compared to that white shark. The purple is going to be that whale shark, the biggest shark we have today. And the red and the gray are the smallest and the biggest that scientists think Megalodon could have been. About 20 meters across. That's pretty big. Whereas there is one animal living today that would be even bigger still. That blue whale is even bigger than Megalodon. I know Megalodon's huge, but a blue whale is still bigger. But you know what? Blue whales, they don't really have teeth. So I actually have one of the biggest teeth we might see. Are you ready? I have a Megalodon tooth? Actually, first, show with your hands. How big do you think a Megalodon tooth would be? Do you think it's like the size of my teeth? It's like the size of my nose? What do you think? Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Da-da-da! It's almost the size of my head. It's the size of my hand. That is a pretty impressive big tooth, I would say. All right, but you know what? I think we need to explore another adaptation. We got to explore those teeth. Let's check out something else. Would we like to explore the nose area or the skeleton area? What do you think, my friends? Let's vote A or C. I'll give us 5 seconds to get our votes in. Oh, I see lots of votes for C, some for A. I think C wins it. Let's explore. So as I mentioned before, these skeletons of sharks, they're not actually made of bone like ours are. And Megalodon, you really would just find those bony teeth left behind. The skeleton, hard to find because it composts really quickly. So this one is preserved so that we can actually see it. You can see that beautiful skeleton, very similar to ours, just maybe not as strong. Now, it is still strong and it can propel them really fast through the water. Now, I have a video I want to show. Some people might not want to watch it, okay? So this is going to be a video of a shark eating another animal. Okay, so if you don't want to watch that, that's totally okay. If you would like to, we can watch it. I will let you know when the video is done if you want to close your eyes, okay? So I'm going to head to the video. So if you want to close your eyes, you can do that now. But this will show us just how impressive that skeleton is with all the muscles propelling them up out of the water and back down. I'll show everyone that wants to see it one more time. All right. Ooh. I mean, I feel like I can jump pretty high, but I don't know. That shark is jumping pretty high out of that water. All right. For those of you that didn't want to watch, the video is all over. You can open your eyes again. But we got to see how impressive that skeleton is with all those strong muscles to propel sharks like that great white shark out of the water. So we've got one more area to explore, my friends, and that's kind of the nose area. And I want to explore the extra special, almost superhero senses that sharks have. So we have 5 senses. We have eyes for seeing, smelling, tasting, hearing. We have feeling. But my friends, sharks, they have a 6th and 7th sense. Do you know what those are? Let's take a look. So you can see all these little holes along its nose. Those, my friends, are extra special. Thomas is going to tell us all about it.
My favorite adaptation is what we call Ampullae of Lorenzini. These are gel-filled little tubes that the sharks have that help them detect electricity that their prey emit.
So, like Thomas said, there are these little holes along the face of sharks, kind of gel-filled, almost like Jell-O, inside little holes in its face that help sense electricity nearby. So these sharks can actually swim around and feel the electrical current, maybe from a heart beating of an animal nearby. Maybe there's a crab hiding under the sand. Maybe there's a flatfish hiding in the sand. I think that shark right there might have just found one using that crazy 6th sense, the Ampullae of Lorenzini. But you know what? The 7th one, super cool as well. Superhero sense, they have a lateral line, a line that travels down their body that senses movement in the water. So if there are fish swimming nearby, They can actually sense that movement. But my friends, we're going to explore these beautiful animals along a reef that some sharks live in cold water, like here in British Columbia. Some sharks like to live in warmer water, like this tropical reef here. But sharks, are they important in these ecosystems? Let's see what Thomas has to say.
So sharks are keystone species, meaning they have a very important role in the environment. They really hold the equilibrium in marine ecosystems.
So sharks, they're pretty important. What are sharks going to eat, do you think? What would sharks eat? If you were swimming side to side like a shark, you can swim side to side with me. They're gonna chomp on some fish, maybe some smaller sharks. Yeah, that sometimes happens. I'm thinking of some big fish, maybe. Some of them will eat krill, like that whale shark, definitely. Yeah, some might eat bigger animals like seals, maybe a turtle. Some do try and eat turtles. Yeah, some eat smaller sharks. In this example, I'm going to use bigger fish. We can think of them as small sharks too. What are those big fish going to eat? Or what would those small sharks eat? What do you think? Thinking of something that's some side to side. Has gills like a shark. That's right, some small fish. And those small fish are going to eat someone else tiny. I'm thinking of maybe some krill or some shrimp. Those shrimp, some people that have fish at home, fish tanks, actually have shrimp to help keep it clean because they like to eat great gas with plankton. Some will eat plankton, but they'll also eat some of the algae that's growing on the fish tank or in an ecosystem on hard things like coral. But what if we lose those sharks? What if we catch too many of them? What happens to the big fish? We're going to end up with more or less big fish. What do you think? You can vote with your thumb if you'd like, if you're in a classroom. We have less animals to eat them, so I think we're going to get more. Then, are we going to get more or less small fish? If we have lots of big fish, I think they're going to eat a lot of those small fish. Uh-oh. There's less small fish. We're going to get more of those krill or those shrimp at first, but then the shrimp will probably run out of food because there's too many of them and they'll die. Once they're gone, then we get lots and lots of algae. Who here has seen a fish tank that's really green and slimy? Ugh, that is not healthy for those fish or anything living in it. In an ecosystem, we don't want too much of that algae either because it can actually cause problems for some of those animals. So in a coral reef, we only want a little bit of that algae. Otherwise, it actually overgrows that coral that creates the home for so many of those animals. So if we actually bring back sharks, if we protect sharks, we can actually create that happy, healthy coral reef ecosystem for tons and tons of animals. So I need your expert brains. My friends, how can we help sharks? What could we do to help? We had some ideas at the beginning, but I'd love to hear in the chat some of your ideas. What can we do to help? Oh, we can kill less of them. So maybe we can catch less sharks. Amazing. Yeah, we could fish less or with better fishing methods. So maybe use less nets that would catch more types. Oh, maybe give sharks their space. Definitely. Yeah, help their ecosystem. So maybe that means giving them space. Maybe that means making sure there are sharks in that ecosystem. Oh, we can track and study them to learn more so we know better how to protect them. Wow. Oh, great idea. You could use radar or sonar to make sure that you stay away from sharks. We are actually trying to use some of that to figure out where whales are and how we can have less noise around whales. Don't buy shark meat. That's a great idea. If you have the option to not eat shark, choose not to. And oh, no littering. Great idea. Or you could even lead a shoreline cleanup. Even if you don't live near the ocean, any garbage, any litter could travel to the ocean. So even if it's along your street, even if it's in your backyard, that's a great cleanup. Amazing. Oh, great. So use nets with different maybe sizes of holes. There are actually special nets that have special trap doors that only turtles can exit. And that's a way that we've tried to catch less turtles in nets. My friends, you have had some amazing, amazing ideas. I love all of these. So what I want you to think about is one thing that you can do to help. Some of these we might not be able to right now. Maybe you can choose to not eat shark meat. Maybe you can lead a shoreline cleanup or make sure none of your litter ends up outside. It might be harder for us to give sharks their space every day. It might be harder to track and study them, but maybe that's something that you think of doing when you're older. Maybe that's what you want to do for a job or volunteer to help. There's so many ways for us to help sharks. So, my friends, I would like to say thank you so much. We have a really cool way for you to choose at more sustainable seafood options. So if you want to help sharks, but still eat seafood, you can actually look for our seafood label. This is our Oceanwise seal of approval saying, we've done homework for you. And this is a smarter choice for sharks and other animals in the ocean. So if you're at the grocery store or if you're at a restaurant with your family and you see the symbol, you know it's a smarter choice for those sharks. I'm going to end with just this last little bit from Thomas, and then I'll answer lots of questions.
I wish people would know how interesting these animals are. There's over 500 species, and there's so much more to learn about them.
So my friends, I hope that you have taken that. You want to share something that you know about sharks. Maybe you talk to 5 people you know this week, and you share something you know about sharks. It's a great way for us to share more. All right, well, my friends, we have about 10 to 15 minutes here. I'd like to know what you want to know about sharks because there's so much we can learn. And I'll share something really cool here. I know I had the jaws, which are kind of a skeleton, but I actually have some skin of a shark right here. So this is a shark that we see here along the coast of British Columbia. Don't worry, it doesn't harm people here along the coast. They live pretty deep down and they're pretty small. They get about the size of a toddler, maybe. This is one of the tail. And if I feel it in one direction, it's really smooth. So maybe kind of smooth like your skin. But if I try and rub it the other way, it's really rough. Kind of like sandpaper, or if you've ever pet a cat's tongue before, that really roughness. So they actually have these little, almost like little teeth on their skin. It actually helps them swim faster through the water, less resistance. That's right. So Veronica's reminding us that you can type your questions in the chat, or you can type them into the Q&A, whichever works best for you. I see one of how much food on average do sharks eat in one day? I'll actually say that sharks don't usually eat every day. They can go many days, even weeks without food. So a lot of them will have big meals every once in a while. Sometimes they don't know how long they can go. But they do actually have something really special. they have a liver. We have a liver too, and it helps kind of break down things in our system. But their liver also helps them stay buoyant in the water. If you've ever mixed water and oil together, maybe you could try it later today. If you have oil and water, will they ever mix together? Not really. The oil and water separate, and the oil is lighter than water. So the really oily liver of a shark helps them want to float in water. It's pretty cool. So instead of having a swim bladder like these fish, just a really oily liver. But that can also trap some nutrients for them to survive longer. Oh, really great question. How often do mother sharks have shark pups, and how many? It really depends on the type of shark. I will say that some of them will actually have the babies inside of them for up to 2 years. Yes, 2 years. So I'll show you a picture here in just a moment. I'm just trying to get to the right slide. Let me share my screen real quick. There's a few different ways that these sharks actually are going to have babies. Some of them lay them in egg casings, so sort of like a chicken egg. And you can see the baby sharks actually growing inside of these ones. Some of them are actually going to have live babies. So the babies will come out alive, and those ones will actually have them inside of them for much longer. So some up to 2 years. It's a long time. Amazing. Veronica, were there any questions from YouTube that I should answer?
Yes. So we have one. We have a couple. So how do sharks see?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. A lot of us might think that sharks have poor eyesight, but their eyesight's actually pretty good. It's not the eye of an eagle, but it's pretty good. The biggest problem with shark attacks is that people will go out in the water when it's been really windy or wavy, and there's lots of sand in the water. That means that you can't see very far. You're kind of just seeing shapes. So you might have seen pictures of maybe a surfer on a surfboard. Looks pretty similar to a seal. And as we said before, a common food for sharks can be seals. So it's not that their eyesight's bad, is that the conditions of seeing in the water are poor. Great question. Is there another one from YouTube we should answer?
Yes. How long do sharks live?
Great question. It really depends on the type of shark. Some of them longer than you might think. A spiny dogfish, which is I had a tail of one here, they actually aren't going to be able to have babies or be reproductive until they're in their teens, maybe even 20s. So they're going to live more towards their like 30s, 40s. Some maybe a bit longer. We have one more from YouTube real quick.
Oh yeah, here we go. What is the weirdest fact that you know about sharks?
Ooh, I think one of my favorites is actually also to do with reproduction. And it's this. Share my screen. My friends, that is not a toy that shark has found in the ocean. That is actually what its baby is growing in. So that's another one of those egg casings. We actually call them mermaid's purses. And this one is shaped like a corkscrew because the mother will pick it up with her mouth very gently and push it in between some rocks or some coral. And that shape keeps it stuck in there to keep the baby nice and secure while it grows inside. I think that's a pretty crazy shape that comes with that. And I actually have not a corkscrew mermaid's purse, but I have a different one here. So you can see these are from a bamboo shark. So they start out pretty tiny. A bamboo shark gets smaller than a human. They're not a big shark. They start out in those tiny little egg casings, and then they'll hatch out. So sharks have one baby per mermaid's purse. Amazing. I think I'm going to take a question or two here from the chat. Let's see. Can sharks eat other sharks? Yes. And many big sharks will actually eat smaller sharks. So I've actually got a shark right here, a little friend. That's an epaulet shark, one of my other favorites. And it doesn't get a whole lot bigger than that. It's a smaller shark, so it might be a target of a bigger shark, like a bigger reef shark swimming around. One of my favorite parts of an epaulet shark is that they have, like other sharks, those big pectoral fins that come off their chest, but theirs are adapted for walking. Did you know that sharks can walk? Not all sharks, but our epaulet sharks, they actually walk with those fins along the bottom of the ocean. Or if the tide has come down really low, they can actually walk along the reef from tide pool to tide pool out of the water. Yeah. Now, don't worry if you're still a little bit hesitant about sharks, you're still a little bit scared. Don't worry. I think we're not going to see any sharks dressed up as humans for Halloween. I think we're okay. I think they're going to stay in the water. So don't you worry about that. And great question. Why isn't shark hunting illegal? So some species we have less of. So they might be what we call endangered species, where there's only a small number of them left. And many of those will have protections where we are not supposed to catch them. But like with many rules, some people don't follow them. So there are folks out there trying to make sure that everyone follows the rules, so that we can have lots of sharks protecting our reefs and other ecosystems. But you know what? We need others to share how special these sharks are so that they stop doing it. Amazing. Does climate change affect sharks? Yes. So the change in temperature of the ocean can be very, very small, fractions of a degree, but that can affect many animals, including sharks, especially sharks living in coral reefs where the coral is very sensitive to those changes. So yes, they can be affected. I don't have a video of the shark walking, unfortunately. I've tried very hard to get one, but I haven't found one that's super great. It might try and walk around a little bit, you'll see, but it's easiest to see when they're walking on land. There might be one on YouTube that you could Google. If you Google epaulet shark walking, you might be able to find it. So can sharks survive out of water? I said the epaulet shark can walk out of water. It can't survive for very long. So just like a lot of animals that live even in the intertidal, so along the beach between high and low tide, they still need to be wet to breathe. So the gills of the shark can get oxygen from the air if they're wet, because the oxygen will go to the water on the gills. But if those gills dry out, that shark will not be able to breathe and will die. So it can't be out for very long, just a bit to kind of hop from tide pool to tide pool, and then it's good to go. Amazing. Well, I'll see if there's one last question from YouTube maybe, because I think we're nearing the end of our program today.
I actually have a question for you.
Yeah.
There are lots of kids out in the audience, and if they want to grow up and have a career studying sharks, what do they need to do? What kind of education classes do they need to take? Do they have to go to university?
I love this sort of question because I would say, it definitely helps to have a university degree or some sort of, post-education that's going to give you more information and more expertise. But I would say the biggest thing is to just get involved and learn more about sharks. If you love sharks and you're really committed to helping them, there are lots of organizations that are always looking for people that just care a lot. So if you want to get involved, I would try and reach out to organizations or groups that have volunteering opportunities if you're a bit older, or think about some of those for when you are older, so you can see if you want to get involved, and even just learn more to see if that really is what you want to do when you're older. Maybe you want to go get some higher education to do some research or work at an organization to help protect them. So great idea, but I would say just get excited to help the ocean and sharks. Amazing. Well, I see one last question I want to answer, and then I will let us go. Last question I'll answer is, why do I like sharks? And I think this is a great question for all of us to think about, but I would say that I think sharks are really misunderstood. We think of them as being these really scary animals that movies like to make us think are scary, but really, they're a really important animal to the entire ocean. If we lose them, we lose many other animals in the ocean, so we need to protect them. They're super important predators. And not all sharks are aggressive and want to attack things. Some are actually kind of like puppy dogs. Some actually really like nose or belly scratches. So if you become a shark expert and you know how sharks behave, you might even be able to try something like that. Not everyone should, but an expert could definitely try that. So I would like to say thank you all so much. Think about a way that you can help sharks in your daily life. And my extra challenge to you is to share one of your favorite things that you learned today, or maybe a cool fact about your favorite shark, with 5 other people before the end of the week. Because the more people know about sharks, the more we're all going to want to protect them. So thank you all so much and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Daphne and Oceanwise, for sharing all that amazing information. And I'm going to send out a link for next week's program.